The council chamber on Zithera Prime was alive with a tense energy. Holographic projections of distant worlds shimmered around the room, showing planets, fleets, and trade routes. Delegates from hundreds of species had gathered, each one unique in appearance, each one with its own language, culture, and agenda. Their eyes, many of them glowing or multifaceted, turned toward the central dais, waiting for the familiar figure that had always represented humanity. But the seat remained empty. For centuries, humans had been the steady hand at the council. They never caused drama, rarely interfered aggressively, and their votes had always been consistent. They had become the galaxy's anchor of predictability, and now for the first time humanity was absent. "Where is the human ambassador?" asked Velor, a serpentine delegate from the Drivath cluster. His voice hissed and a ripple of scales ran down his body as he leaned closer to the representative beside him. They should have arrived hours ago," replied another, a small crystalline being whose voice sounded like chimes. "Perhaps there has been a delay?" The whispers grew. Delegates speculated quietly at first, then louder. Some suggested sabotage. Others feared rebellion. Every species in the chamber had relied on humans for stability, and now that stability was gone. Panic began to creep through the room like a virus. Above the council city, orbiting Zithera Prime, Captain Lena Royce of the Ardent Resolve watched the activity from the bridge. Her crew, a mix of humans, had been briefed only hours ago about the plan. Humanity's absence from the council was not a mistake or a delay. It was intentional. Lena's hands hovered over the controls, her eyes scanning readouts of alien fleet movements. They had noticed the subtle signals first. Fleets in the council sectors were adjusting positions, some moving closer to Zithera Prime, others pulling back. The galaxy had noticed humanity's absence, and curiosity was quickly turning into fear. "Captain, the Drivath fleet is hailing the council," said Lieutenant Markov, his voice calm but tense. "They want to know why the human seat is empty." Lena leaned back, considering. "Let them wonder. Let them speculate. That fear will serve us more than any message we send." The galaxy did not know humanity's plan. They thought the humans would come, vote as usual, and maintain the status quo. They did not know humans had decided to abandon the table entirely. Not out of anger, not out of surrender, but to show that the rules of the galaxy were about to change. In the first hours after the council began without human representation, rumors began to spread faster than any official announcement could travel. Fleet commanders across the known space observed the movements of human transports leaving orbit quietly, almost invisibly. Sensor logs showed no aggression, no sudden attacks, just ships returning to the Sol system. At first, the galaxy thought humanity was running. That made them laugh, or at least it would have if their laughter wasn't tinged with unease. Humans had always seemed predictable, almost passive in their diplomacy. And yet as more observation reports came in, unease grew. There was something deliberate about this withdrawal, something calculated. Meanwhile, back at Sol, the human homeworld thrummed with activity. Construction yards stretched across entire continents, massive structures rising from the ground and orbiting platforms taking shape in low orbit. Enormous starships, sleek and imposing, unlike anything seen in the galaxy, were being assembled in secret. Drones and automated systems moved with precision, guided by AI that had been tested in the harshest conditions on Earth's Death World colonies. Lena's fleet was only the beginning. Humans were preparing not for war, but for a demonstration of power that the galaxy had never witnessed, and they would do it on their own terms. Back in the council chamber, panic spread like wildfire. Alien leaders began sending urgent messages, asking the remaining humans in orbit to explain themselves. Every message went unanswered. The council floor erupted in speculation. The crystalline delegate, whose name was Cyrell, floated higher as it shook with agitation. "This is impossible. Humans never ignore protocol. There must be a mistake." But there was no mistake. Humanity had chosen this path deliberately. Captain Lena Royce looked out at the stars, thinking of the council below. They expected humans to follow the old ways, to vote, to speak, to obey the unspoken rules of interstellar politics. Instead, humanity was showing the galaxy a different kind of strength, the strength of independence, intelligence, and strategy. She walked along the bridge, observing the operations. Every crew member moved with confidence, a calm precision born from years of training. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were humans conditioned to think beyond any known standard, capable of surviving conditions that would destroy most alien species. "Captain," said Lieutenant Markov, "I'm picking up unidentified fleets moving toward us from multiple systems. They're approaching cautiously, scanning but not engaging." "They're curious," Lena said, her voice steady. "They want to know what humans are planning. Let them watch. Let them fear. That's the advantage we've been waiting for." As night fell over Seoul, the human fleets emerged from hiding, deploying silently across key sectors. Their ships were enormous, bristling with weaponry, and their AI systems coordinated maneuvers with near-perfect efficiency. For the first time, the galaxy could glimpse the true scale of humanity's power, and they were terrified. In distant systems, alien observers began sending reports back to their homeworlds. The news spread like wildfire. Humans had abandoned the council table, but they were not retreating. They were mobilizing fleets that could rival entire regional powers. The whispers grew into fear, and fear into outright panic. On Zithera Prime, the council reconvened in an emergency session. Felor hissed angrily. "This is unacceptable. They cannot be allowed to withdraw." A smaller insectoid delegate clicked its mandibles nervously. "You do not understand, Velor. We have never seen humans act this way. This is not hesitation. It is strategy, and it is terrifying." Meanwhile, in the Sol system, humanity prepared not only their fleets but their colonies. Entire planetary defense systems were activated, weapon platforms deployed, and trained Marines positioned in orbit. The humans did not seek to dominate. They sought to show that the galaxy could not control them. Lena watched the alien fleets from her command center. Their movements were cautious, their approaches hesitant. They knew something was coming, though they could not predict what. Every scan revealed the same pattern. Humans everywhere, prepared, calm, ready for action. "Captain," said a young officer nervously, "they are broadcasting a message. It's not a demand or a warning. It's a statement. Humanity will act on its own terms." Lena nodded. "Exactly. Let them think we are uncertain. Let them worry. When the time comes, they will see the full extent of our power, and by then, it will be too late for them to challenge us." As the first part of humanity's plan unfolded, the galaxy held its collective breath. Every alien civilization watched their sensors, tried to decode humanity's actions, and speculated endlessly. The Council had expected participation, diplomacy, votes, and compromise. Instead, they were left with silence and the unmistakable sign that the humans had abandoned the table. But abandoning the table did not mean surrender. Humanity was not retreating. They were preparing to redefine the rules of the galaxy. From orbiting stations to deep space platforms, human fleets adjusted their formations. Every system, every planet, every fleet was synchronized in a silent, deadly ballet of preparation. And below, in the council chambers, alien delegates trembled as the message became clear. Humans were no longer the predictable observers of galactic politics. They were a force to be reckoned with. Captain Lena Roy stood on the bridge of her flagship looking out at the endless stars. She knew the galaxy would never underestimate humanity again. They had left the table, yes, but they had done so to show their true power. And when the time came to return, they would do so not as participants in the Council's games, but as masters of their own destiny. The stars shimmered in silence, the galaxy unaware that the most significant change in its history had already begun. Humanity had abandoned the table, and the consequences would be seen across countless worlds in the days to come. And above it all, the humans waited, patient, prepared, and unstoppable. The galaxy had been watching humanity in fear for months. Reports from all sectors poured in. Fleets had emerged in the Sol system, massive starships unlike anything seen before, AI-driven, fully armed, and with human crews trained for situations that would have broken most alien species. Every corner of the galaxy waited, unsure whether humanity would strike or if they were merely showing strength to intimidate. Captain Lena Royce stood on the bridge of her flagship, the ardent resolve as the first of many alien fleets cautiously approached Sol. Her crew worked with calm precision, monitoring incoming movements, relaying commands, and scanning for any hidden threats. For years, humanity had been underestimated, and now, every alien who had doubted them would see the truth. Across the galaxy, alien leaders convened emergency councils. Messages flew between warlords, rulers, and diplomats. Some pleaded for negotiation, sending envoys toward Seoul to explain or apologize for any perceived slight. Others, more aggressive, began amassing their own fleets ready to challenge humanity. But the humans had prepared for all outcomes. The first contact came from the Serenth, a bird-like race with sharp claws and faster reflexes than most. Their flagship approached the Sol system's outer boundary, broadcasting a challenge. Humans, explain your absence and state your intentions or be considered hostile. Lena's fingers hovered over the controls, but she did not move. Instead, she activated the communication channel. Her voice, calm and firm, carried across subspace, and the entire alien fleet could hear it. "We act on our own terms," she said. "We have always respected the Council and its orders. But humanity will no longer be dictated to. We do not ask for permission. We do not negotiate with fear. We protect what is ours and act when necessary." There was a stunned silence in the communications channels. Many species were not accustomed to such directness. Most had grown used to diplomacy filled with politeness, delays, and compromise. Humans spoke with clarity, and it cut through centuries of political hesitation. The Serenth fleet hesitated. Captain Krell, their leader, turned to his officers. "This is not bluffing. They are prepared far more than we expected. Maintain position but do not engage. We will observe." And so the galaxy watched. Weeks passed and humanity's presence became undeniable. Fleets deployed strategically near trade routes, neutral systems, and critical infrastructure, signaling that any attack would be met with overwhelming resistance. Humans did not invade, they did not conquer, and they did not provoke. They simply stood ready, demonstrating a level of organization and readiness that no other species could match. Captain Lena knew that fear could be a tool as powerful as weapons. Alien species began recalculating their strategies. Every decision, every deployment, every movement was made with the unspoken awareness that humans were no longer predictable. They could strike anywhere, act at any time, and survive conditions that would destroy even the most battle-hardened alien units. In one sector, the Zerine, a technologically advanced insectoid race, debated whether to attack a human colony. Their council chambers were filled with buzzing and clicking, the sound of anxiety and uncertainty. "We can no longer rely on old assumptions," one elder said. "Humans are beyond our understanding. If we provoke them, they will destroy us without hesitation." This realization spread across systems. Rumors about human capabilities, once dismissed as exaggeration, became accepted truths. Stories circulated about ships capable of maneuvering faster than light, weapons that could disable entire fleets, and soldiers who had survived conditions that would have killed others in moments. Back in the Sol system, Lena oversaw the training of new recruits. "Every human fleet, every soldier, every AI system must operate as one," she told her officers. "The galaxy will watch and we will act only when necessary. But when we act, it will be precise, swift, and final." And the time to act came sooner than anyone expected. A coalition of alien forces, assuming humanity had overextended, launched a coordinated attack on a neutral planet under human protection. Their fleets moved in tandem, weapons primed, confident that they could intimidate or destroy the humans stationed there. Lena received the report instantly. She did not panic. Instead, she called her officers together and issued precise, calm orders. "Deploy the interceptors. Position the cruisers. Use the drones for reconnaissance. Engage when they are within striking range. Do not fire until I give the command." Human ships moved like a single organism. Interceptors zipped ahead, cloaked and invisible to most sensors. Cruisers positioned themselves strategically, forming defensive lines that shielded the planet without revealing the full strength of their forces. Drones relayed live information, updating every ship with the enemy's positions, velocities, and vulnerabilities. When the alien fleet entered the strike zone, humans revealed their true power. Energy beams cut through alien defenses, AI-guided missiles struck with surgical precision, and human marines deployed via drop pods to neutralize key targets. In minutes, what had seemed like a formidable assault was reduced to chaos. Alien commanders scrambled, realizing that the humans had anticipated every move. The galaxy watched in horror. Messages from distant systems described the scene as unbelievable, impossible, and terrifying. Humans were not only defending, they were controlling the battlefield. shaping outcomes with a level of efficiency that defied comprehension. Captain Lena observed the aftermath, her expression calm. The aliens who survived retreated in disarray. Humanity had not lost a single vessel. They had not overextended. They had only demonstrated the truth. Underestimating humans was deadly. Across the council sectors, leaders convened emergency sessions. The crystalline delegate Cyril floated higher than ever, its entire form quivering. They cannot be stopped. They are unstoppable. Other species argued, some in panic, some in awe. Messages poured in from scouts, informants, and spies. Humanity had mobilized fleets across multiple sectors, each ready to respond within hours. Their preparation was not reckless. It was precise, calculated, and frighteningly effective. In the Sol system, humanity's focus was not conquest. They did not attack the Council, they did not annex territory, and they did not enslave species. They acted only when necessary, to protect themselves and those who were allied or neutral. But the demonstration was enough. The galaxy understood the message clearly. Humanity could no longer be controlled, manipulated, or ignored. Captain Lena received a transmission from the Council. The message was formal, cautious, and filled with uneasy respect. Humanity, we acknowledge your presence. We invite you to return to the Council and continue participation under the new understanding that your capabilities are unparalleled. She smiled, a small curve of satisfaction. Send them our response, she said. We will return, but not as before. The table has changed, and we decide the rules now. As the fleets repositioned, reports flooded in from countless systems. Traders, diplomats, soldiers, and civilians alike watched the humans in awe. Stories of human efficiency, bravery, and ingenuity spread like wildfire. Even former skeptics and opponents now whispered about the unstoppable force humanity had become. The galaxy began to shift. Alliances were reconsidered. Warlords hesitated. Empires recalculated their strategies. For the first time, humanity was no longer just a participant in galactic politics. They were a dominant power, respected and feared in equal measure. Captain Lena looked out from the bridge of the ardent resolve, the stars stretching endlessly before her. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries. They had expected predictability, compromise, and obedience. Instead, they had received strategy, power, and independence, and humanity was only beginning to show its true potential. She turned to her crew, her voice calm but firm. We have done what was necessary. The galaxy knows our strength. Remember this, we act only with purpose. We strike only when needed, and we will always protect what is ours. The rest will watch and learn. Across the stars, alien fleets retreated, reports were filed, and messages sent. The Council reconvened with caution, acknowledging that the humans were no longer simply another member. They were a force that could not be ignored. Humanity had abandoned the table, yes. But in doing so, they had rewritten the rules of the galaxy. Every species would now look at humans differently. Every council, every fleet, every ruler would remember the moment when the quiet, disciplined species of the Sol system revealed its true power. And as Captain Lena Royce watched the stars, she knew the galaxy would never again underestimate humanity. The humans had returned to the table, but this time it was on their terms. The galaxy, once confident in its own superiority, now trembled with the realization that humanity was no longer predictable, no longer controllable, and no longer to be underestimated. And above it all, humanity waited, patient and prepared, ready to defend, ready to act, and ready to show the full scope of their strength when the time came.